Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday to you. It's funny, I was not going to come on today. I was going to take a break. Went to bed a little later last night. Was watching an interesting documentary on Netflix about Lady Gaga, of all things. I'm like, hey, let me check this out. And I didn't plan on watching it for an hour, but I did because it was crazy and weird and whatever. But anyway, I felt the need to come on today and continue this because time and time and time again, I get phone calls, conversations about relationships. And in this journey to get free, stay present, and move forward with our lives, isn't relationships the most important thing in our lives? Relationships, it's the juice of life. It's what lifts us to heights we never thought possible, makes us feel so amazing. It's also what can drag us down to the lowest point we've ever felt. It all stems around relationships. Let me give you this interesting fact that people, if they have chest pains, they will wait about maybe 3 to 4 hours before they call for help. So you have chest pains, you'll wait about 3 to 4 hours before you call for help. But in a relationship, if your relationship has, metaphorically speaking, chest pains, people wait like 7 years. 7 years. Which means, the way I interpret it, is that people will stay in a relationship and suffer in a relationship. When they know it's not right, they feel hopeless, helpless, trapped, and they'll stay there. Now, if you're not in a relationship and you're single, are you suffering being single or are you happy being single? I'm going to talk about some of these things today in the limited time that I have, but there's a way to continue this. There's a way to continue this journey because, like I said, if you have discomfort or chest pains, not physically chest pains, but metaphorically speaking, if you have something going on, can you deal with it now as opposed to wait? So I wanted to get real with you. Who am I to talk about this? Well, I'm somebody who failed miserably at relationships. I'm just going to keep it real with you. No sense trying to put up a pretty happy face. I failed miserably at relationships. Have you failed miserably at relationships? Hey, Joe, great to see you, my friend. Wayne, hello, how are you? Have you failed miserably at relationships like me? Let me say good morning to everybody. It's a beautiful Saturday here. I'm excited. I'm going to go out and spending the day with family today. I'm excited about that. Good morning, Linda. Hey, Elisa, my good friend. Cecilia, Larry, Dan, what's up, everyone? Have you suffered in relationships? I have failed miserably in relationships. So what I did, I went out into a quest, and I've spent well over $100,000 in my journey so far in personal development, trying to fix what I thought was broken, in me, and only to find out that nothing's broken, right? So I'm going out, searching, trying to fix, to strive, succeed, be successful. This is the bigger part of the journey, to try to fix what was broken, only to realize that there's nothing broken. And there's nothing broken in you. And I don't care what you've been through. I don't care the mistakes that you've made. You think there's something broken. I'm here to tell you that there's not. That it all matters. That it's all a part of the journey. If you can't believe that right now, it's okay. Just let it marinate. And so what I've learned, I got around the best people, the best minds, and I've learned some of the best things out there so far. Is there more to learn? Absolutely. But here's the difference. Here's the key distinction for me that I want to offer to you. Thanks, Joe. Suffering is a choice, right? Pain is inevitable. In a relationship, suffering is optional. But You can improve yourself not because you think something's broken, just because you want to improve, you want to get better. That's a really key distinction. I'm going to do a whole topic on that in the future, because self-development can be a paradox where we're seeking to improve ourselves because we think something's effed up. We think something's broken and I got to go out there and fix it. Which does end up serving us too, but it's much better to just let that stuff go and move to a place where you're already good. Your journey matters. Wherever you find yourself, whatever you've been through, I'm here to tell you that it matters. Let me jump into this. Why do we struggle so much in relationships? Why do we struggle? Tell me, why do you struggle if you're struggling? Maybe you're not struggling, but it's just lukewarm. You're like, God, you're like, just pinch me. I want to feel something. I don't feel anything. I just feel like I just feel numb. I just feel numb. Like somebody pinch me, slap me, do something. Maybe that's where you find yourself. Where do you find yourself? Why do we struggle so much in relationships? I want you to chime in. Don't just listen to me talk. I know I talk a lot on here because it's just me, but Lucy, if you have something to say, Lucy, I will bring you on. I know you got a lot of insight. I think I can tap and bring you right onto this. Who wants to jump onto this with me today? Who wants to jump on? Let's make this exciting and different. Who wants to jump on live with me right now? Who would love that? Raise your hand if you will, and I'll bring you on. I will continue. Why do we struggle? So, do you want to jump on this live with me right now? You got something to say? I'll bring you on. But I'll continue until I hear. Maybe Conchetta wants to jump on live and say something. Conchetta, if you want to jump on, I'm inviting somebody to jump on live here with me if you want. You don't have to turn your camera on. You can point your camera away. But if you want to say something, I will bring you on live. Okay, so Linda's saying, I had no example from my mom and my dad. They were dysfunctional. Amen. Hey, listen, so did I. Had no model. We had no model. But here's the thing, right? I look at that and I say, my story's similar. I had no model. But the question is there models? Is there people out there who are a model of what a great relationship is? Is there people out there in this world, in our circles, that have a great relationship? And if the answer is yes, I know they're harder to find, but they're probably out there if you search. Why not go talk to them? Have you gone and talked to them and said, hey, why is your relationship successful? Let me just jump into this. And by the way, if you want to come on live with me, I'm inviting you. I can bring you on here through the power of technology. It's okay. You can point your camera away, but we can hear your voice. So if you have something to say on this, I want you to jump on. I'll figure out a way to invite you. Okay. Is there a cure? Let me talk about a couple things. I just said in the beginning of this, if you missed it, that if somebody has chest pains in their body, they wait about 4 hours before they call for help. If they have pains in their relationship, metaphorically speaking, if you have a pain in your relationship, you will wait 7 years. Or even if it's not 7 years, maybe it's 3, whatever. It's years. It's not hours. Why do we do that? Let's get real. I believe if we can get real right now, change happens automatically. Isn't that a beautiful thing? You don't have to figure it out. Just get real. Get to the truth. Bring it out, right? Bring it out. I just gave you some of my truth that I failed at relationships time and time again. Went through a divorce. And I believe, as I look back, one of the greatest things that ever happened to me, because it was a lesson. It was a lesson I wouldn't have gotten, I wouldn't have received any other way. At times, we can lose our identity and conform to someone else's ideology because we want to be in a relationship. Right. Exactly. This is one of the major problems. And I said it in the beginning. If I don't feel good enough, me, I'm talking about Austin, right? Previous Austin, not today Austin. Today Austin's much different than Austin was a long time ago. But if I get into a relationship and I don't feel good enough in the relationship, how does that relationship have a chance? How can it possibly be successful? The truth is it can't, because number one, I'm going to conform. I'm going to be a pleaser because something's wrong with me, right? Quote unquote. Something's wrong with me. So I'm going to conform in the relationship. And guys, I'm here to tell you, women don't want they don't want a guy who conforms. You may disappoint your lady, but as long as you love her, that's what matters. Women think they want somebody to conform, but they really don't. They want a strong man. They want somebody who's going to be strong and stand up to them in a loving way. So how can you possibly get to a place of fulfillment if you feel like you're broken? Because then you're going to settle for the wrong person. So if you don't feel good enough, you're going to settle for the wrong person. You're going to conform, and it's ultimately going to fail. And then the other thing that can happen is we end up going, and this is another reason why a relationship struggle, is we go into fight or flight mode. Physically, biochemically, our bodies shift as if we're being attacked. When we're in an intimate relationship and it starts to go wrong, we can shift into fight or flight mode. And we literally, physically, our brains, we go from our higher functioning brain down to our animal brain, which is the reptilian brain, and we are in fight or flight mode. How many of you have been in fight or flight mode in your relationship? You shut your mouth, you're cold, and then it boils up, and then boom, explodes. You know, person doesn't fold the clothes the right way, and boom, you just explode. How would you like to communicate effectively, assertively from a place of love? And just let that stuff go. That's possible. I'm going to talk to you about that. That's key. You both have to want the relationship and are willing to work at it together. That's true, but that's not enough. It's not enough, because we want to get the education to have the strategies to be heart-centered, and number one, to feel like you're enough. You don't need somebody else to fill you up. And then number two, it's the strategies. It's the knowing how to communicate. It's to being strong enough to weather that other person's storm. So that they may be in fight or flight triggered by an old relationship, and you're like, what's happening? You don't even know what's going on. But you let them work it out, and you stay with them, and you kind of like metaphorically create a safe place for them to get it out. And once they get it out and they realize you're still here and you're showing love, it's like boom, now like magic can happen and you get to an amazing place. And I'm going to do a funny video on that in the future, so stay tuned. And then what else? What else happens? Well, there's a whole bunch of other things. I'm going to keep this short today, but I want to ask you, final shares here, if you want to share something about this. And Joe is mentioning a book called by Alison Armstrong. I've heard of her. I know there's a lot of positive things about her books, so you can certainly reach out to that. I personally have been studying Harville Hendricks, and my next seminar, FWD number 11, I'm going to bring in a lot of his content, which is really powerful. And so what I have to say to you is I do have a seminar coming up October 7th and 8th about relationships. And to use the metaphor I started out with earlier, if you are in pain, if you're suffering in your relationship, you don't have to stay there. I mean, you don't have to sit there and suffer. And I've talked to many people over the years, and they just sit there and suffer. Like Joe said, suffering is optional. Suffering is optional. Pain is inevitable. We're going to experience pain in a relationship. We are. We're going to be let down. We're going to be disappointed. We're going to let somebody down. They're going to let us down. But are we centered? Are we strong enough? Are we open? Do we remove negativity as soon as it comes up? Do we communicate effectively and in love as soon as it happens? Or do we wait and we struggle? And next thing you know, there's an explosion. Because I always say it's like a pressure cooker. For each time you don't communicate, and communicate doesn't mean you blast somebody when you're pissed. It means that you come to them in love. You tell them what they did good, or you give them honest feedback. Hey, I really loved what you did, and I'm going to go into this at the seminar. Or you come to them and say, there's something on my heart. And when they bring to you a concern, see, if you don't feel good enough and they bring to you a concern, you crumble because you feel like you're not good enough. But if you're strong and they bring to you a concern, you're like, hey, this is feedback. This is great. Now we can improve the relationship.